So we are talking about the development of the inguinal canal, how it is developed. We told you that the inguinal canal is developed due to the descent of the gonads to reach their either scrota in case of the testis and pelvis or pelvic cavity in case of the ovary. Okay. So at first these gonads are attached with the gubernaculum with the lower pole of the gonads either testis or ovary, and another end is attached with the labioscrotal swelling. Okay, and this gubernaculum ultimately helps in to descend and to gain its normal anatomical position. So in case of the adult life, that means in case of the male, this gubernaculum is reabsorbed, you can see, and in case of the female, this gubernaculum is remained as round ligament of the ovary. Okay, so you can see this is a male gubernaculum called gubernaculum testis. Look at that, from the lower pole of the testis there is a thick fibromuscular band is extending from the lower pole of the testis up to the scrotum. So these gubernaculum helps in the descent of the testis, and while they descend the gonad or testis, this passage, intermuscular passage or inguinal canal is produced. Okay, now go back to our main topic. We are talking about the inguinal canal. So what is it? It is a fibromuscular oblique intermuscular passage, and it is 4 cm long. It is just above, parallel to the medial half of the inguinal ligament, and we also told that the direction, it is directed downward, forward and medially. And how it is produced, what is the embryological background, we told it. Now let's see the content. What is the content of the inguinal ligament? Okay, the content of the inguinal ligament in male and female is different. In case of male, the content of inguinal canal is the spermatic cord. Later we will know details about the spermatic cord. And in case of female, the main content is the round ligament. Okay, round ligament. So in case of male, spermatic cord; in case of female, round ligament. And in both sexes, one thing is the common, that is the one nerve, that is the ilioinguinal nerve. Ilioinguinal nerve. So what are the contents? You have to say as sex. In case of male, spermatic cord plus ilioinguinal nerve, and in case of female, round ligament plus ilioinguinal nerve. So that's the content. We can see the content. Just in this picture, this is a male body, male cadaver. You can see the greenish part is the inguinal canal. The most greenish part is showing the inguinal canal, and from the inguinal canal, look at that, one cord-like structure. One cord-like structure arising. This is the spermatic cord. Okay, this is the spermatic cord, and look at that, from the spermatic cord, testis is suspended. So from the inguinal canal we can see the spermatic cord in case of male, and as well as with the spermatic cord you can see a yellowish structure. This is the ilioinguinal nerve. Okay, now come to the extension. You can see the inguinal canal is extended from deep inguinal ring to the superficial inguinal ring. So the inguinal canal is extended from the deep inguinal ring up to the superficial inguinal ring. Now the next question is where they are located, where we will find these two rings. The deep inguinal ring, the name says its identification. So the deep inguinal ring lies in a deeper layer. It usually lies in the fascia transversalis. So deep inguinal ring, it lies in the fascia transversalis. That means the sixth layer of the anterior abdominal wall. So deep inguinal ring is an oval opening. You can see an oval opening which is located on the fascia transversalis. And superficial inguinal ring, the name says its identification. The superficial, that means it lies in the superficial layer of the anterior abdominal wall. So it usually lies over the external oblique aponeurosis, and you know external oblique aponeurosis is the third layer of the anterior abdominal wall. So it is the superficial layer. So what is superficial ring? It is a triangular gap. It is a triangular gap on the external oblique aponeurosis. Okay. So the superficial inguinal ring, it lies over the external oblique muscle, and deep inguinal ring, it lies over the fascia transversalis. And what is the direction of the inguinal canal? We already told you that is the downward, forward, and medially. Now come to the now we will learn about the boundaries of the inguinal canal. What is the boundaries of the inguinal canal? The inguinal canal has two walls, anterior wall, posterior wall, a roof, a floor, and an inlet and an outlet. Okay. So let's start with the inlet and outlet. The inlet is nothing but the deep inguinal ring. The outlet is nothing but the superficial inguinal ring. Okay. Now come to the anterior wall. How the anterior wall is formed? The anterior wall is formed by the skin, superficial fascia, then external oblique muscle, external oblique aponeurosis, and internal oblique muscle in the lateral one third. So the skin, superficial fascia, and external oblique muscle. Look at that, external oblique muscle, skin, and superficial fascia. These three layer forms the anterior wall in its whole length. But the internal oblique muscle, look at that, internal oblique muscle, it covers only the lateral one third. So the anterior wall is formed by the skin, superficial fascia, external oblique aponeurosis, and internal oblique muscle. And skin, superficial fascia, and external oblique, it forms the full length, but the internal oblique, it forms the only lateral one third of the anterior wall. Now come to the posterior wall. Posterior wall is formed by the fascia transversalis. Look at that, fascia transversalis in its entire length, and conjoint tendon and reflected part of the inguinal ligament, it forms the only part of it. So the lateral wall, the posterior wall is formed by the fascia transversalis in its entire length, and by the conjoint tendon and reflected part of the inguinal ligament in only the part of the posterior wall. Now come to the roof and floor. This figure will be better. The roof is formed by the two muscles. There is the arched fiber of the internal oblique and transverse abdominis. And the floor is formed by the thickened portion of the external oblique aponeurosis, that is the inguinal ligament. So the floor is formed by the inguinal ligament, and the roof is formed by the other two muscles, that is the internal oblique and transversus abdominis. So this is the boundary of the Inguinal Canal. Now we have to know a little bit about the spermatic cord, as the spermatic cord is an important content of the inguinal canal. So let's know about the spermatic cord. So